Welcome back, Halo followers. Today, I got some disappointing news. Now, I've already covered this and we've already talked about it a few times, but I felt like I needed to make a video to set expectations right and be the bearer of bad news if you haven't heard already. Yes, Halo Infinite's campaign is dropping in a few days, right? December 8th, right? That is just a handful of days left. I want to remind all of you that what we have in Halo Infinite's quote beta right now is what we're getting on December 8th, minus some campaign specials, some Xbox Game Pass drops, as well as just a handful of other things that will be, kind of campaign focused. It looks like there's going to be a huge drop of microtransactions. Maybe that has actually been delayed or reworked. We know that there is over $1,000 of microtransactions supposedly coming via a Reddit leak and data miners that have looked into the game's files and see stuff that is coming soon. I don't know if that's going to be specifically on December 8th, but that certainly sounds like it would be, makes sense. It really pains me to say that I believe the only content that we're getting in the game, and this is actually coming from 343 themselves, this reads directly from Halo Waypoint, so I don't even know why I would be saying that maybe I'm wrong about this. Everything we know is confirmed that there will not actually be any sufficient content. Yes, there might be customization items that are dropped into the battle pass. There might be some bonuses, maybe some kind of, special mode for a day or whatever, something like that. But nothing like a handful of new maps are coming. Nothing like a handful of new weapons or, new special things are coming that is going to be like really change the game from the state that it is right now. I hope I'm wrong. Maybe there's something special, but this is apparently coming from the data miners that there is really just customization items, and you know what that means, microtransactions over $1,000, right? That is in the queue ready to drop potentially. So yeah, there is also a lot of talk about the playlist, right? So there's just a huge lack, not just in maps, right? And I will say, let me just talk about maps for a moment. Why I do appreciate the gameplay a lot, and I can't say that enough, right? I love, love, love the gameplay. This is more fun than a lot of the Halo games, honestly, in my opinion, especially 4 and 5. This is 343 has certainly outdone themselves with this. So thankfully that they got the core mechanics fine, and it's actually better than fine, right? That's, they can, there's only up from here, right? But it is disappointing to wait after 6 years to see the amount of content that we have in this game. I think pretty much at this point, after about a week and a half of playing, pretty much people have already seen and done everything 1,000 times over, especially if you've been playing like religiously. You want to jump into a game and like have the full experience of it, but they can kind of back this up with saying, well, it's free to play. But I really do wonder, what exactly did they do for 6 years? Because the maps that we have here really aren't, in my opinion anyway, inspired. Besides Behemoth and maybe the other map, Bazaar, those maps feel like true classics, all right? I think those ones people look back on for a long time and say that those were classics. But the other maps, in my opinion, really are nothing special. All the biomes, all the big team maps, big team battle maps feel generic. And why, yeah, they're fun to play on, I still, again, feel like they're generic. They're all in the same biome, especially, with what we have heard about Zeta Halo, that there's no desert biome, there's no snow biome. There is strictly just pine, forest, summer biomes. And I think that is really weird. I feel like there's so much to Zeta Halo that we could be exploring, especially in the multiplayer side of things. And, for campaign reasons, whatever, that's fine. If it was too much work or, too much thought to, make a snow biome or desert biome, I get that. Sure, whatever, is fine. Multiplayer, they can do so much more with multiplayer. And I want to see more creative maps that really do feel like true classic. Why I will continue to rant about this for a moment, I want to remind you guys that 343, I just made a video about this. You can go watch it if you want. 343 basically just kind of pushed us to say, hey, let your voices be heard, right? And this is really important for me to get my voice heard, to get it out in the way that I think a lot of people might agree with. And you can actually agree with me and back this video because 343 is most certainly watching these videos as well as all the other Halo content creators to observe what is going on. We know that they watch YouTube videos, and you can actually help by commenting and liking this video, sharing it around, making sure that this voice backs your opinion. And if it doesn't, well, let me know down in the comment section below, and 343 might even read that. But with that being said, this game lacks a serious amount of modes. Basic things like Assault, Territories, Juggernaut, Infection, VIP, for example, or even any new ones, really. We have the Seed, Power, Control, whatever thing, but ultimately, I'm not a crazy fan of that mode, even though it can be fun. I just feel like it's really generic. It's just a really generic game mode, and I want to see something that is at least Halo inspired, or um, something that is really refreshing and new. And especially those classic modes, Infection. I really don't like how we have only like 2 or 3 playlists to choose from. And even that, we don't really even get to decide what we play. And at this point with the progression system, we don't even get rewarded for playing objective. We don't even get rewarded for winning. And that seems like a weird thing for the progression system not to promote. We want people to actually play the mode, and I think you should get XP for playing the mode. And this can only help gameplay because it's going to give players a incentive to keep playing the game and unlock things. And that's why I think also the microtransaction system, which I will probably talk about in a standalone video soon, but everything is way too expensive. You have to grind for like hundreds of hours to unlock anything. Maybe that might not be specifically true, but there's these events, right? The events need to be more transparent. They said everything was free in the event, and that isn't quite true. And that, I'm gonna bury myself into another hole talking about that. But essentially, the lack of content in this game, I think, is probably going to be the biggest problem long term. I don't know how 343 can actually fix this quickly, because I do think it is something that needs to be addressed quickly. And with Thanksgiving break taking a lot of the studio's time, people also being kind of maybe tired after, the cycle of working on Halo Infinite. And then we have Christmas break coming, which will give, the studio another well-deserved week, or maybe even a week and a half or 2 weeks off. That is just, it's unfortunate that the game is not launching with more content, because I really do think it needs to have more content right now. I feel like even 3 or 4 maps would make all the difference. A better set of playlist needs to be addressed as well. There isn't even SWAT, which is another game mode that a lot of people are wanting right now. The ability to pick between objective and Slayer seems like a duh. There's also other smaller problems like having no lobby, which I think would only help 343 create that kind of FOMO experience between players looking at other players' armors while waiting. It honestly seems like it would only help 343, not so much the fans or the microtransactions. And this wouldn't be such a big problem if Forge was out, or if campaign co-op was going to be here, and we got and on top of all that, the game was delayed a whole year. And it sucks, but this is the reality of it. There's worse things in the world, of course, but I feel like, as far as a video game, complaining about a video game, ranting, that this is a damn shame. And I want to see, at least, they can't just create maps overnight. If we had Forge, we could probably do it ourselves, and you bet people would be doing it. I really want to see Forge pushed. Really, like, I think giving the tools to the community, we're going to be able to make content, right? People are going to spend hours upon hours of their free time investing into their maps and modes. And you got to give, I think that was like, it's such a killer. I think it's the biggest killer. If 343 knew that they were going to launch the game with a handful of similar maps, and maps that were, all jumbled between all these different, modes, I think honestly giving us, the community, the tools to have improve and increase the quantity and quality of content, I think that would have changed everything. But it won't, because this is what we have. The game is launched with bare bones, and I really want to see new weapons. I want to see more variants, and I want to see more transparency. Them talking about why there isn't more content in the game, and I wonder. And I'm probably going to loop back to this in another video in the future here, probably soon, are they withholding content? We saw this with Destiny. We saw trailers, for example, in Destiny, the trailers for the base game. We saw clips and missions and levels and all that, weapons and stuff that were in the trailer for the main game, and was actually on the disc itself, but it was separated into DLC that people had to pay real money for to play. So that was like a really scummy move. And I don't want to see 343 make these big, really honestly big mistakes that other studios have already made for 343, to avoid, they need to really pay attention to how other people have, have done their microtransactions, and how they've also dealt with withholding content. Because, when the data miners, if they find a lot of withheld content, if they find a dozen finished maps that are just going to be dripped to us throughout the year, I think there's going to be a little bit of outrage about that. And I get to a certain degree why they would want to withhold content, right? If they get ahead on development, they delayed the game a year. But releasing a cheap launch, releasing a game that everyone universally is agreeing with has launched bare bones and is lacking content, and then we find out that they're withholding finished content over here, I think that is going to look very, very bad for 343. And I think I'm the only person really talking about this, but I think there's a reasonable expectation that we want some of that stuff on day one. I think we've waited 6 years for this. I think it's only fair to show us what you got if they are withholding content. There's no evidence they are quite yet, but we'll see. Besides that big thing of microtransactions coming, we don't know what they have finished. Well, that, and also the campaign's gone gold, and that's coming in a few days. But anyways, guys, thanks so much for watching. I'll catch you in the next one soon. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know your own thoughts, and be sure to like this video up if you agreed with it, and hopefully 343 will see all that and take that into consideration when making changes and thinking about the content drought and the lack of content with this game. All right, I'll see you guys soon. Bye.